Fen with Carrion Skies. Alright, so this is the fourth album by the English black metal band Fen. Um, it's been like more than a year since Dustwalker came out. I reviewed Dustwalker last year when it first came out on my channel. I also reviewed the Epoch album, their second one, like on my old channel. I made a review for that a while ago, but it's gone now, and I used like musical tracks for that one. Like I played music in the background, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to like upload it onto this channel because I don't want to get any copyright strikes. But anyway, that's beside the point. We're here to talk about the fourth album right here by Fen and see how it ranks up. One of the first things you know about this album is that the production is actually really smooth. It's like their most polished and clean production to date. That's not to suggest that they've gone pop rock or anything like that, but it's just it's just a lot more smooth and easy on the ears. Not that that was ever really an issue of them before. Like for their style of music, they've always had like pretty decent production, but here it's actually like it sounds much more just polished, highly engineered, and so forth. And it's also it's their shortest track listing to date. It's 6 songs, although if you count the two-part song, which is called "Our Names Written in Embers," that's divided into 2 parts, part 1 and 2. It's a very good opener. It would technically be 5 songs. It would really only be 5 songs since part 1 goes right into part 2. So you have that big like 2-part song at the beginning, then you have a couple more songs after that. So technically, it's just 5 songs, pretty much similar to "Morning Rise" by Opeth. Only the first song happens to be divided, so that's a little different from the norm. Much like a Dustwalker, the majority of the songs on here happen to be over 10 minutes long. And now that there's only one less song on here than the last one, the difference is all the more apparent. Only 2 songs on here really are under 10 minutes, and like the shortest one on here, which is 6 minutes, is, like I said, part of that opening duo of tracks, the part 1, part 2 thing. Part 2, if it was taken as its own individual composition, would be the shortest one on here, and just taken with the with the part 1 thing, it would really combine to be 17 minutes long. So really the shortest song on here, like the shortest individual track on here, is just barely under 10 minutes at 9 minutes and 49 seconds. So yeah, pretty much this is an album almost entirely of like really long songs, so to speak. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just something to point out. There's also less of a focus on like the softer elements that have encompassed much of the previous 3 albums. It's almost essentially dominated by like all-out soul-destroying black metal with some post-metal riffing and melodies and such. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's just a bit more restrained than it's been before. Like you're not gonna see like another song like Spectre or anything on here that's almost entirely acoustic and clean. But whenever those moments do show up on here, it's still quite lovely as always. It's always been one of my favorite aspects about their music, whenever they're just able to work in some of the softer elements to offset the heavier elements. It always just makes for a brilliant contrast and lends their music a really contemplative and atmospheric touch. It's just one of the things I've always loved about Fen's work. Although I'll say from France, who has a very similar sound to Fen, released an entirely shoegaze post-rock album earlier this year, so by making an almost entirely black metal album in the case of Fen, perhaps they're trying to restore balance to the force, I guess? I wouldn't know, but I mean, I suppose. The musicianship, of course, is just as strong as it already was on the previous 3 works, if not even tighter and more collectivized, so to speak. The Watcher is just as ferocious as he's always been. I fucking love his black metal vocals, and even his cleans can be pretty cool too. Um, not much change really in any of those regards, really, unless you say it's a bit more tight and in sync, so to speak. But I like that part. It's consistently strong without losing a beat. Even though it's only been more than a year or so since Dustwalker, so obviously you're not going to be losing much momentum with that short amount of time in between. However, I believe songwriting wise, everything kind of just blurs together after a while, and since I haven't really been able to find like a truly outstanding standout track that I could point to after the entire experience is over, like with Bereft or A Carrier of Echoes or A Hands of Dust or A Spectre, I haven't been able to find like one of those kinds of tracks on this album that I can just consistently listen to again and again and again. So in that regard, I guess this is a bit of a letdown by comparison. And honestly, I think this might be my least favorite album by the band to date. But so far, they haven't released anything truly bad. I'm not saying this is like really, really just not worth your time. I'm just saying personally, I didn't think this was as strong as the previous three albums. I don't think it's as strong as it could have been, so to speak. I'm not saying I have anything against the dropping of, or at least the eschewing of post rock and shoegaze elements for more black metal. I love both sounds, but somehow I felt like it didn't really work out as well for me personally. I don't think this album has as much strong replayability as the previous three albums. I mean, it starts out just fine. Like I said, the Our Names Written in Embers is a really good opener, but I feel like after a while it just gets kind of listless, and I kind of get lost. Like after a while, like the further I go into the meat of the album, like I feel like they're getting held back or something after a while. I'm not saying do the same thing every time. I'm not saying like, oh, it's not like these older albums because blah, da, da. It's always important for an artist to explore their sound and just try new things. Fan bases be damned, but I'm just saying I didn't feel like I was really sucked into the atmosphere of the album. Like, for example, like I felt like I was instead of being inside the box, being within the experience, I felt like I was just looking at this from the outside, looking in, so to speak. Like, pretend this red box is the experience, the atmosphere of the album. I felt like I was not inside it. I felt like I was looking from the outside, if you get what I mean. The main point I'm trying to get across is that the thing I've always loved about this band is that they've never done the same thing twice, but at the same time, there's always this all-encompassing aura in each of their albums that just transported me into their intoxicatingly beautiful and gloomy world, so to speak. I like I just said before, I didn't feel like I was within the experience. I felt like I was just from without. I was only able to get like rare moments of that, like on this album. Like in the middle of the "Dying Stars" song, there's this really beautiful acoustic passage that just goes right into some of the harsher parts, and just the contrast just gives it this really beautiful, emotional, and cathartic release, like I've experienced on the like a lot of their older songs and such. And those are the moments that just really leave an impact. Like I'm saying before, like you don't need to do the same album twice. You don't need to do the same thing twice, but just that feeling of emotional release that they're able to do with moments like the acoustic passage in the "Dying Stars" and how that goes right into the heavy parts again. It just those are the kinds of moments that really just make me feel like I'm within the experience, like I've hammered on about for the past couple of minutes. It's just after I'm done with the album, that's just what ultimately sticks with me and gives me more positive things to say. When I first made my review of Dustwalker, I think I might have been a little critical, but at the same time, like, since that album came out, that album's actually really grown on me since I first reviewed it. So my thoughts on Dustwalker are like currently at the time of this review are almost nothing like the my thoughts of the album at the time I made that review when that was released. So who knows? Like maybe this album will grow on me too, and perhaps I'll enjoy this album too. Although I think it may be a little less likely this time. I think this one uh, may or may not grow on me as much as Dustwalker did. The first two albums I loved immediately. Dustwalker grew on me like very much, and now I really enjoy that album. This one, I'm not so sure. I'll give it time. I'll still give it more repeated listens and such. It's always important to just give it more chances to see what else you're able to take out of it and such. But as of now, I think this might be my biggest disappointment of the year. I have nothing against the band. I'm just saying I didn't think this was necessarily the best album I've heard musically. I can tell that they're pouring their hearts and souls into the creation of this album, although, I don't know, I guess it didn't really leave me with much personally. That's just me. I feel really bad giving this band a rating since I do appreciate the music that they've put out and the effort that they've put in to make this kind of music, but I guess I'm not feeling it. Overall, I have to give it like a 7.25 out of 10. But yeah, like I said before, Dustwalker grew on me a lot since I first listened to that one, so who knows? This album might grow on me too. Um, we'll just have to wait and see. I'll have to just listen to it more and more. So, yeah, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.